Good morning, viewers, wherever you are, in any part of the world. I am here to speak out what I think about ourselves and what has been happening around us and how our world is getting from bad to worse in terms of the degeneration of moral values, in terms of too many conflicts almost everywhere, in terms of wars and animosities and all sorts of negatives. Uh, Humanity getting closer to destruction altogether. The peace of life is almost gone. Tension everywhere, stresses everywhere. People are not having faith in one another. The crisis of identity, faithlessness, as I recall Matthew Arnold's one great poem, Dover Beach. And in that poem, he talks about how humanity is getting robbed of mutual faith, mutual confidence, love, and life is getting so arid, so much boring, so much frustrating that the conscientious people, the thinking people, the people having poetry in them, or the people having a good heart and good mind, how much frustrated and how much sad they are, uh, keeping in view of the happenings around the world. You take any day's newspaper, you take any day's chats in consideration on the television and all that, you will see, you will have no doubts whatsoever that we are not living in a nice way. We are not living as good human beings. We are not having our actions positively done. Our acts, our actions, our works are all done in rivalry, in businesses, in trades, in industries, in politics. Everywhere you see you have murders committed, foul plays resorted to, all kinds of enmities nourished, family relationship breaking, blood and flesh getting an upper hand, and the spirit and soul getting crushed. The holy relationship between the brothers and sisters, between the parents and the children, between the friends, all these values of relationship are getting shattered. Today's friend, tomorrow, today's friends, tomorrow become enemies. Today's lovers, tomorrow become mutual stabbers. These things are not that only I am aware of. All thinking people in the world are aware of what is happening, but those who are short sighted, those who live for themselves and for their children only, those who don't have interest in the longevity of this world, of humanity, that this world continues because it is a made up world and it is created by the universal powers, the divine powers. One has to think in that way also. Man has the ability to make, man has made so many things that this earth had not seen 100 years ago, 200 years ago. Our science, our technology, our developments and researches have given us so much. But on the other hand, these developments, these researches, scientific inventions and discoveries, they have been misused so much that good has been done, X, and bad or harm has been caused, X to the power 10. We gain a little, we walk a little ahead uh, uh, in positivity, and then we walk back or we retrace in negativity miles. And these things are so saddening. I, as an educated person, I think so. Educated in the sense that I am more aware of what this world is about, what human life is about, what our duties and responsibilities are towards ourselves, our families, our immediate society, and towards our world as a family, as one of the inheritors of the concept that the whole world is like a family and people everywhere are human beings, and human beings have to live with non-human beings who connect us with nature, who work with us in maintaining ecology, and who are equally righted to live in this world as we are righted, we feel. So every day I see that things are not getting all right, and that is why sometimes I feel pressed. Sometimes I feel pressed, but even then I don't speak out. But sometimes the pressure is so much of speaking out in the hope of having some people at least to begin with to listen to me, because I am not speaking about myself or about my benefit or advantage. I am thinking of speaking, or I am speaking actually now because I have the interest of the entire world as a normal, as a humble human being. Goodness has to be promoted. Moral values have to remain established. Moral values have to be maintained. And when I talk about moral values, I'm not being any hackneyed speaker. Morality, morality. Many so called ultra modernists or modernists or urban Naxalites, they don't have any morals. Their only moral is to eat, drink, and be merry at the cost of others. They don't have any interest in taking this world together, in making the whole world as heavenly as we can make it. We think of heaven or attainment of heaven after this life comes to an end through our good actions while living. But in fact, that is in a kind of fog that is uncertain. Nobody knows what sort of heaven that is. If any heaven is to be realized, it has to be realized in our lifetime. If not wholly, at least partially, that we die or we leave this world with the hope that things are on the right rails and things will improve. And one day, those who remain here, or even many of us who might return in terms of births and rebirths, we have a better world next time. If this time we have suffered, we have lived in dirt and filth, the next birth that will take us back here will lead us to have a good life. With that hope, I am speaking a few words about my experiences of the happenings around. The title of this stream is like this: who are the stars of our society? Who are the stars of humanity? The hardworking people, the honest people, the people who are far-sighted, the people who believe in the concept of the whole world as a family, humanity as one, in spite of different colors of skins, in spite of different heights and shapes and sizes, in spite of different languages and religions. And it is said that there was a time, once upon a time in the beginning, that people were so few and they lived together and they spoke one language and they didn't have many religions. They didn't have any religion at all. Their only religion at that time was how to have certain ways to survive the onslaughts of nature beyond control. But now that this world has evolved and the world has been divided into races because of births, because of geography, because of history, and because of nature. Perhaps nature wanted diversity to continue. So we have black people or black skinned people, we have white skinned people or fair skinned people, yellow skinned people, and all sorts of religions. The purpose of all religions has to have a code of conduct that makes us better human beings. It is not to be overemphasized that man's life is driven by so many factors. The most basic needs of man is air, water, and then food. Air is the most basic, and that's why nature has given us that. But even that good air that we breathe in, oxygen, is depleting. Water is getting scarce, and in many parts of the world, people die of thirst. We are shown on the television, sometimes we are shown in exaggeration that people are dying of thirst. They don't have water to drink even, let alone having water to wash clothes, to wash bodies, to have bath and all that. And then food that we have. These are the basics that we need to have. But then the world is getting overpopulated. Maybe 1,000 years ago, the population might have been 1,000 years ago, much, much less than a billion. Now we have more than 8 billion. And the rate at which the population is increasing, many people call it population explosion, despite population control measures adopted in many parts of the world. And having succeeded at that too, some parts of the world are still having burgeoning population growth. And that is one area of concern for all human beings, thinking human beings in the world. So this is what you see, that people in cinema, people in suppose professional sports and all that, where is the relevance of letting them have so much money or letting them charge so high fees when a cricketer is not a cricketer professional, as in India or as in Australia. In developed countries, you have your main resources and you live comfortably. But in this part of the world from where I'm speaking from Calcutta, one of the important cities of India. I lived in Kathmandu for decades, teaching in university, teaching students at the master's level, MPhil levels, even having opportunities to guide some PhD students. And chiefly, I mention the work that I did at St. David's College, Kathmandu, from where students hand out to all parts of the world, and reportedly they are doing very well. And many of them have appreciated me, recognized me as a fair teacher, having no biases, having no dogmatic ideas, having worked nicely among them. And that with that satisfaction, I feel I have some ground to speak on issues that confront all of us around the world. So I see how people, when they are very poor, they think of the basic things to be had. But once they start getting into money, they lose discipline, they lose a sense of proportion, and then they aspire for amassing wealth, and they become victims to their negative uh, passions, that they become ostentatious. Take an example. You have a wristwatch. You need to know what time it is at any point of time, at any part of the day. So you have a watch, maybe 200, 500, 5,000, 10,000. But once they come into money, they start flaunting watches, several watches, 100 watches, and each costing 50,000, 5 lakh, 20 lakh. They have fleet of cars and all that. They they buy dresses, and then just they put them away. They live in luxury and filthy luxury. People in cinema, they are called stars. People in politics, they are called stars. But just have a peep into their past. How could they manage their life when they didn't have? They lived, and in the absence of resources, they made themselves, and they became fit to play at the international level, or they suppose they qualified themselves, they made themselves fit for being people's representatives. But these people in politics, in trades, in business, in cinema, in all sorts of professional sports, when they have lots of money, then uh, they don't keep count of the days that they have lived earlier. That their enough money is not a good thing to have. Their surplus money should be used nicely. You live comfortably, you live nicely, luxuriously, but moderately luxuriously. You don't flaunt, you don't crush others. You become famous, and then you take laws into your own hands. You get people killed because you have money, you have muscle men, you have the nexus with politicians who are in power, and they have all made you intoxicated. And if you see anyone coming up to your level, and if you see that anyone is going to expose the extravagant ways of your living, then that person or those people become your enemy or enemies, and you get them finished. It's because you have the money power, you have the power of the nexus, and these people are called stars. Every day I see in the newspaper, you have supplement pages, and you have the pictures of half naked women, half naked men, and they have their hairstyles, they have their accessories in weird mannered or not in the ways that people, gentle people, good people should, normal people should. And they just exhibit their body organs, they sell their bodies, they have all kinds of things to display, and they are called the stars. What sorts of stars they are when they spend their nights at clubs, at dancing clubs, or at restaurants and hotels, then these places are described as paradise. The caption in the supplement is that paradise at the Grand Hotel, or stars descending on a certain place, and that place is stage managed by the event organizers, and they call that star-studded party, feasting, and dancing, and doing whatever they like, and they are called stars. What sorts of messages they give to the teenagers, the adults, those who have to become intelligent engineers, life saving doctors, those who have to become teachers, those who have to become good statesmen, politicians, to take society forward towards civility and more civility, towards peace and prosperity. And these naked people, they are the stars. And the silent people working in their fields, the farmers, the people working in the factories, the teachers teaching their students in terms of values, in terms of good actions, in terms of disciplines, and they are nowhere. They are the people neglected. These people, they are never highlighted. I remember, and most of you perhaps remember or you have heard the name of this poet, the one who is famous for having written many, many poems, particularly one elegy. Elegy written in a country churchyard, Robert Graves, and he talked about the heroes. He talked about the real stars in terms of the farmers, in terms of the peasants, in terms of the artisans, in terms of people who had all the qualities of great human beings, but they always worked silently. They never compromised. They never got unethical. They lived peacefully, silently. They died, and their bodies got cremated or buried in the country churchyard. The places where they were buried didn't have any erections of the stones, statues, the images. In contrast to their graves, the graves of the powerful people, bedecked with flowers, bedecked with so many other landmarks, and people knew about these powerful people, rich people, but they never knew about the hard workers, the peasants, the farmers, the artisans, the teachers. Means in that poem, the peasants have been particularly mentioned and praised, but I'm sure that Robert Graves, the poet, might have kept in mind the people who were lowly, lowly by nature, those who didn't want to advertise their talents, those who lived by the principles of nature, that you are born of nature and you have to get back into nature, you have to get mingled with nature. So these people, men and women, mothers and fathers, children becoming parents, parents becoming grandparents, and they lived very plainly, but they lived honestly. Shouldn't they be called stars? Weren't they real stars? They were, in the opinion of Robert Graves, the poet. And the people who come into limelight, the people who come into fame because of their money power, because of their nexus power, nexus in the sense, no, you have connections, agents, brokers, brokers, layers of bad people, chains of bad people. They make money and they enjoy their bodies and fleshes. They cheat others, but they become the occupiers of the center stage. As another great poet of Ireland, W.B. Yeats, in one of his poems, he very clearly expressed his sorrow as to how the worst people at the center and the best people cornered. The worst people having all the glitters, all the glitzes, all the pretensions of joys, and they really had joys, material joys. They had their assertions. Nobody could defy them. Nobody could speak against them. So much of terror, so much of fear they had put into the minds of the people. and the good people, honest people, as beggars, even intellectuals and writers and poets, philosophers and teachers, they they lived in corners, silently weeping, suffering, or just cursing their destiny, or just being stoic about their life and about their status that was nothing at all. My request to all the people of the world, particularly the influential people, the powerful people, the politicians, the thinkers, most of them, they have become selfish. They think in short-term gains, their presidency for 4 years or 5 years, again re-election, business people competing with one another, industrialists competing, rivaling one another to be named as the richest in the world. So someone, the richest in the world, and next year somebody else and somebody else. But these rich people, they don't grow in their riches in fair ways. By hook or by crook, they achieve that. And they take the glitters, they take the limelight. The real people, the hardworking people, the honest people, the people who love nature, the people who love their parents, their grandparents, the people who love humanity as a whole, such people, they are uh, they are dumped in the gutters of neglect. They are not even recognized, although they are the right people, they are the real people. You see what happens in politics, what happens in the industrial arena, business, trades, what happens in the so-called sports and games, that players are bought and sold out. Players work against their own teams because they have been bribed. In cricket, there is a term called what they call that you sell the secrets, match fixing. So match fixing not only in cricket, match fixing in football and all that. And who fix or fixes the matches? The gangsters, the baiters, the smugglers, those who want to make quick money overnight. And who are these players? Some of these players, they had very hard life earlier. Their background so humble, but once they come into money, the lure of the money becomes stronger. The more money they have, the more money they want. They are known and famous. They want to be more known and more famous, and that they think can happen only when they have more money. And they sell their conscience. They sell their principles. They forget their poverty-ridden families. They forget how poverty could stimulate people to good actions, and how good actions could evolve people into meaningful, good citizens of the world. But once they get trapped by the lures of the money, then they get lost. They become blind. They don't recognize their poor family members, because you become rich, your parents become rich, your near relatives, but other relatives and friends who knew you and who know you even now, and you don't look to them, you don't help them, you don't help your villagers, you don't help your countrymen, you only start competing with the richest of the rich in the world. So you forget your own villagers, but you have camaraderie, or you have friendship with the rich people of the other countries, other continents, because you lose your neighborhood, you lose your connection, you lose your intimacy, you lose your love for the near ones, you refuse to recognize them, and you recognize the rich ones. And rich what? Actually, these so-called rich people are the poorest people. They are the people who don't have any strength. Their backbones are all broken because they have forgotten They are bones of the earlier times. And they have started giving priority only to money and money and flaunting money and having dances, having, no, you see, wine, having wine, costliest wines, and gadgets, and then humanizing, and then buying and selling flesh and all. These people are called stars. How sad. And I have some some sad words for the so-called journalists also, because the fourth state we call journalism, electronic journalism, or print journalism, or people who claim to be, you can say, bringing into focus the issues of humanity, the issues of the suffering people, issues of the good people, suffering people. Thieves also suffer, bad people suffer. They suffer because they have committed crimes. But good people, when they want others to live a happy life and they do something for that, and they also want to live happy life cleanly, but they are tortured. And you don't write a word, you don't speak a word about them. You only go on praising these dastardly people, moneyed people. You call them stars, you call them the leading lights, you call them godly people, as if there's no God. They are the living gods and all that, because they dole you out some money. They give you opportunity to travel abroad with them. They gift you with certain precious items, and you feel proud about them, and you never think of your honest duty that a good journalist has to be a simple man. You have to live, you have to dress yourself, you have to eat, you have to be healthy, but you sell your conscience, you sell your mind and heart for the sake of money. And this is what our society is slipping into. The whole world see what is happening between Ukraine and Russia. That is just an example, the most glaring example of the conflicts that have been on for over a year or almost a year now. And these leaders, they have conferences, G20, or sometimes developed countries summit. You have this bloc and that bloc, and blocs are pitted against one another. And the real conditions of the true human beings, the good human beings, these conditions are so hard, so bad. Students, teenagers, they don't study. They have got the gadgets. And one very important thing that I would like to mention here, I would like to appeal to all these people. Let this facility I'm using, that I'm trying to reach people at the world level using this internet, using this facility that scientists have given me and billions of others. But let these gadgets be free uh, cheats and hooligans and blood and you can say body sellers, the naked pictures, the sexual acts. Sexuality is a biological thing. Everybody knows. Animals are not taught in school how to have sexual relationships. See the divorces, see the living relationships. 10 days they have lived in together, and on the 11th day, one is murdered by the other, or both of them are murdered by each other. Is that relationship? Is that any basis of people coming together and have a living relationship? Is it going to help anybody? You have brothers and sisters committing incest because of these sites, and these sites actually, and the makers of these sites, the promoters of these things, they are the people to make money, and they give the teenagers, the young people all over the world only this message, that life is for an instant. Live it now. You may die tomorrow. So if you have to have sex with somebody, have it today with anybody, even if that anybody is your near relation. Cousins are accused, brothers are accused, parents are accused of having atrocious sexual ties with their near and dear ones. And things like these might have happened in the past. They might have not come in the picture or in the public knowledge, but certainly such happenings must have been very, very, you can say, minimum or very, very low in number. But these days, every day you have kidnappings, you have cabbies, you have no Uber and what they call kinds of aggregators they call Ola and Uber the world over. And the cabbies, you have a young woman making use of the cab, and that person is raped somewhere in the middle of the destination. And all this is happening because of the fall of the sense of discipline, fall of the sense of self-restraint, fall of the sense of the so-called morality. Morality is not to be defined. Morality is not for one person or the other. If everybody follows certain moral codes, it is for everybody good. If you follow the moral code that stealing other people's property or things is a bad thing, then it is good for you that you don't steal, you don't get caught, and others follow you, others get influenced, and everybody follow the same code of conduct. No stealing, no cheating. So nobody is cheated, nobody is caught red-handed, nobody is charged with this misconduct, and everybody is safe. You travel and you don't have the apprehensions of thugs coming to drug you while you are in the plane or in the train. This is morality. This is self-discipline. And this is stardom. You are a star because you are honest. You are a star because you work as much as you can. You are a star because you guide others. And if you can't, you don't misguide. You are a star because you love nature. You don't harm trees and plants. You don't kill animals. You don't go against your own friends and relations because you get into the lure of money. So stars are those people. Their stars can't be all, because in order to be a star in the real sense of the term, you have to be hardworking, you have to be honest. And to be hardworking is difficult. Everybody wants to live comfortably without working. I would like that I should not cook my own meals. Somebody else should cook. Somebody else should wash my clothes. Somebody else should press my clothes. Somebody else should take me to a station, to places where I have to go. Means I shouldn't be moving my fingers. I shouldn't be moving my body, and I should be having all the comforts of life. This is lack of morality. All of us have to work for ourselves as much as we can. And those people who don't have work and those people who don't have money, well, they are there to help us, provided we pay them. We should neither underpay nor overpay. Overpayment is also very bad. You go to a hotel, you have lots of money, and you pay tips to the so-called waiters and all that. And so much that these waiters start earning more than the honest engineers, because engineers are not paid tips. Engineers depend on their salaries. The salaries are reasonable and they live somehow. Cricketers, there's no point in giving them crores and crores because they win matches. Okay, winning match, all right. But winning match is not more important than winning, you can say what you call, the hearts and minds of the people by helping them. You help the farmers, you help the teachers, you help people who are low income or low salaried. On the one hand, you have the minimum. On the other hand, you have the maximum, unlimited. People advertise, they become modelers or they become models, and they charge so much, so high fees. And then the producers, the manufacturers, the traders, they increase the prices. And who have to pay the prices? The salaried people, the low income people. So why to pay models? You see, another act of dishonesty, and that is against your being a star, even if you are extremely moneyed. you don't write very nicely so that readably, legibly, the manufacturing date, the expiry date, the you can say the price of an item, the price of anything. So, manufacturing date, expiry date, and then maximum price at one place, but they see the side level or see the bottom. And in these places, you hardly can read. They are not legibly, you can say, printed or stamped. And you lose a lot of time before you are in any position to guess the price of that product that you have bought. This is dishonesty. Why do you have to write in microprint smoking is injurious to health or drinking alcohol is injurious to health? You don't write them so nicely, and you don't have to write even. Let the productions of these carcinogenic substances production should be stopped. We don't need hospitals. We need stadia. We need amphitheaters. We need open air grounds. We need flowers and gardens. We don't need police stations and hospitals and all these, you can say, what we call regulatory institutions, places. Because the more hospitals we have, the more indication of the fact that we are diseased, or we don't eat properly, we don't eat healthily. More people fall sick, that's why more hospitals are needed. So if in the market, in the village market, in the town market, in the city market, we have vegetables healthily grown, we have medicines, not spurious, we have food items, we have almost pure, we don't have many people falling sick, and we don't need many hospitals. We don't need many police stations to nab the culprits because we have a code of conduct in force, and we have honesty in our heart. We want to live as good human beings, not as thieves. But thieves are rewarded. They are given tickets by the politicians that the fiercer the dacoit you are, the more contemptuous a raper you are. All these people, because they can threaten others, they can send fears into hearts of others. So those who can who can who can send fears into others, they become people's representatives. The people who have amassed money unfairly in a very bad way, satanically, these people, they they are the deciders, they are the judges, and they spoil everything. That is why the world people, brothers and sisters, the seniors, respected people, all of us have to understand that this world will continue in good health provided we are bodily and mentally healthy. And we realize that we have to live in discipline, we have to live in in accordance with the code of conduct, that we should not be harming, we should not be thieving, we should not be stealing, we should not be lying, at least as much as we can. We are human beings. We lie sometimes, but on the realization of having lied to somebody and having caused some pain, we just expiate. We feel so sad and we expiate, and we take a decision, or we take a vow not to repeat that once again. This is, we are human beings, we are fallible, we fall. Let us fall, but let us immediately rise on the realization, and let us minimize our falls, and let us, you can say, maximize our standing erect with a sense of honesty and goodness. That is how the world politics, the world business, the world sports, all sections, all sectors of our global life would be positived, would be cleansed, and would have promises to go on the right path. All these things can be extended, can be explained through so many examples. So many other things are there, but I put a stop here, and I appeal to all the people who may be my audience anytime in the future, because I don't know much as to how to use, how to make videos and all that. I don't have. I simply speak in the hope that YouTube people, or people who are concerned with these facilities that they have provided, they should put these words, these spoken words to public, so that at least 5 to 10% of the listeners would find something positive, because they are like me, I am like them. And if we are any good for humanity, we have to think positively, and we have to praise, appreciate honesty, goodness, human virtues, and we have to discourage vices, because vices engulf us and they sink us, and virtues keep us alive, and virtues keep us alive with good mood, with good mood, with good level of satisfaction. God bless us all. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.